Yo, what is up, everybody? We are here on a Wednesday for the free ETR NBA injury show. I am Gary, as you may know. I am filling in for one Drew Dinkmeyer, who is out doing things in the real world for the time being. But we have a fun slate to break down here today. 8 games on Wednesday. Just got some news over the last hour and a half or so that is going to impact things quite a bit. So, Mike, how you doing? You excited to dive into this one?
Yeah, doing great. And I pulled up the odds for today instead of the usual schedule. I mean, look at these spreads: 10.5, 15, 15 again, and then an
Crazy.
11 with Booker. Even Booker out, line's only 11. I think they cover anyways. But yeah, it's the slate like really shrinks.
Yeah.
If you're especially the Knicks and the Sixers are bottom 5 in offensive pace. The Thunder in altitude, shorthanded, like that's really ugly. I think Utah can kind of hang. So I should say Houston can maybe hang. If I had to pick a game that may not blow out, which may sound crazy, given it's a 15-pointer, but I think it's the only game, especially since Utah's going to score a ton. But yeah, it's covered it in matchups, and I went really deep on the other games, and the other games are pretty healthy too. So there's definitely some edge here to be had.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be really fascinating from a DFS perspective with these potential blowouts. And, if one of those games doesn't blow out, if you do pick a superstar from one of those sides that isn't going to draw much ownership, that could be interesting for you. But, even with that, there's a lot of injuries, or, at least enough injuries here that are going to impact the slate for some value. So let's start with, the news, obviously, that we just got for the 1:10 o'clock start tonight, and that is the Phoenix Suns, obviously still without Chris Paul. Devin Booker come back for the throwback. What are we in late December, early January? Got health and safety protocols back here for Devin Booker, so he'll be out tonight and probably Friday against the Knicks as well. But that they are expected to get campaign back here. So how do we see this shaking out for the Suns? Can campaign hit the ground running? Do we think he can get a full allotment of minutes? The people need to know how many Suns do we play tonight?
Yes, all of them. Man, this makes everybody on the table here. And one thing I've been talking about and some of the stuff I do is the Blazers second unit is like maybe the worst defensive unit I've ever seen. Like they don't cover anybody. So those guys who get like staggered away in the second unit, like Campaign was supposed to do that. I kind of liked him before the Booker news. Obviously, still like him, but yeah, I think Campaign's going to kind of hit the ground running here.
Yeah.
He went through a full shoot around. I'm sorry, did the full practice. It sounded like Torrey Craig kind of let it slip that he's going to return today. Monty Williams said they're expecting him to start. This is before the Booker news, so I think he starts. I think he draws Simons on the other end, which is a good matchup for him. Like I said, he would have been lock city for me. I saw he's 4,300 on DK. So I mean, I don't know how you fade him, honestly. Yeah. He's such a good play. But besides that, yeah, we'll see Landry Shamet, who's really struggled this season. He'll pick up some more minutes. I think they'll go generally bigger. I think that we'll play Torrey Craig a little bit more. I think they'll play, Aaron Holiday maybe next to Cam a little bit. Maybe they bring Ish Wainwright in, but you're not going there. But this also helps Cam Johnson, who probably is still starting, I think, with Campaign as the starting point guard. Mikhail Bridges, again, you're replacing just huge. Look at 40 minutes. 24 shots, 7 assists. His potential assists have been really high. It's a massive role to replace here. So it's kind of open season here. And then now this game is less likely to blow out. I still think it does. You could get really aggressive here.
Do you think there's any chance on a campaign minutes cap, or even if there is? Here's what I'll say about that: we have him for like 27 and a half minutes right now. I mean, that's obviously just the state of things, and could be higher, could be lower. But I think even if he's somewhat capped, like if it was 22 minutes, even if it was 22 or 24 minutes, even in that time, the amount of usage he'll have in those minutes at his price tags, it makes it hard to avoid. And we'll talk more about that on the DFS show. But I mean, he's going to be mega chalk for good reason tonight. So we'll see how that starting lineup looks. It'll be interesting to see. But I think, as you mentioned, Holiday will be more involved. Torrey Craig will be more involved. Shamet. And those guys. So, we'll see. I mean, I definitely think there's a more of a chance of Portland competing now with, Phoenix kind of running through with no Booker or Paul, but it'll be an interesting one. All right.
Yeah. And I'll add too, he was getting kind of some pregame workout in like pain that is like, 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Was kind of encouraged, but didn't have the green light. But yeah, so I think he could really get up there.
Okay, good.
In this matchup too.
Yeah, well, that's great, and I don't have a problem treating him as just cash game staple reaching the field. Like we'll talk about that later, but all right. Cavs, Darius Garland, been out for a little bit here. It's been the Brandon Goodwin show, especially since Rondo's gone down. But Garland questionable to return tonight from that back injury. Sounds like even if he does return, and we're projecting him in right now, he's going to be playing through this. So who knows how that might affect his upside overall. But you expect to see Garland tonight, and do you anticipate any caps when he does return?
Yeah, went through shoot around, so I think he's going to be out there. Definitely think he has a cap on him, so would be a little bit careful there. Obviously, that takes Goodwin way down. You lose a lot of Jetty Osman upside if he does return. And it doesn't really hurt Jared Allen. You swap basically usage for efficiency. Him and Garland have a tremendous chemistry running the pick and roll, an area in which the Charlotte Hornets are really weak. So I think he could be in a pretty good spot. We saw Lowry Marketing get wrecked by Patrick Beverly, believe it or not. The Wolves put Beverly on him for quite the size mismatch, and it worked to their advantage. But I think Lowry Marketing's upside will come down a little bit, just because Garland's a much higher usage player than Goodwin is. But Mobley I don't think is really affected too much. He kind of just gets offense on his own. But upside does come down just a little bit. And a matchup I like for him, though. I think against PJ Washington, he could do some damage. So this game should be close. So it's definitely a game you probably want a piece of.
Yeah, I would agree. It's going to be an interesting one, and I like Allen a lot tonight. Marketing to me is the most impacted outside of Goodwin and Chetty, just given the usage spike that we've seen out of him. All right, let's go to Houston, who was the only team on the second end of a back-to-back tonight. You called it out, I think, in three ball. You thought Eric Gordon might sit on the back-to-back, and he is sitting on the back-to-back. KPJ is probable, and Dennis Schroeder is questionable. How do you see Houston shaking out there?
Yeah, Schroeder really rolled his ankle pretty good. I was surprised he stayed in. So I think he's sitting. I think it just makes no sense to play him. KPJ probable, slide him in. Gordon out. Definitely expect Garrison Matthews to draw that start. Matthews also tweaked his ankle. He's probable. Expect him to play. They're will thin. We saw KJ Martin play a little bit of three. Last time Eric Gordon was out, so he may get some decent minutes, and he'll probably get garbage time. So if you are playing that game for garbage time and you're avoiding that game, like KJ Martin could be kind of sneaky. Shingun, we saw him kind of dominate early. They've got overlap, and he finished it off in garbage time. Shout out to Josh Singer. He was touting Shingun as a sneaky plant. He really did some damage. I expect him to play a little bit bigger too. So we'll see. Not in the wood against Gobert. And I'll add, KPJ wrecked the Jazz last year. And he's not really. And the Jazz defense has been kind of bad since Gobert's returned. Maybe it's because he's not healthy. But I think they're 26 in half-court defense in February, and Gobert played probably about a third of those games. And even in the Gobert games, they played some good teams. But I'm not too scared of their defense right now. So I think if you're playing it tight and you want to play Donovan Mitchell, who's in a dream matchup, I think it's okay to maybe go to KPJ or maybe Jalen Green if Schroeder's not out. Like I said, I think this game, given the way the Rockets defense is so bad and they play so fast and they're so turnover prone, that if I wanted to play a blowout game, it'd probably be this one.
Yeah, that's really interesting because Donovan Mitchell is going to be rating really, really well. So we'll talk about that later. But it could make sense to have some Rockets in there for you. So we'll see what happens with Schroeder, but sounds like we're leaning good chance that he might sit there. All right, Indiana. Usual suspects on the injury report here. Chris Duarte has been questionable for a while here. Lance Stevenson also questionable. How do you see the Pacers rotation shaking out tonight? Obviously, we saw Jalen Smith and Isaiah Jackson start last game. Isaiah Jackson, was a down game for him, obviously, but same exact matchup as Monday night with Orlando.
Yeah, things definitely changed with him coming back. You're almost certainly seeing Jalen Smith going to the bench, but it's somewhat worth noting that Rick Carlisle, he got ejected in the game too, so he was getting up there. He probably would have cleared 30, but he played pretty well. Like the stat line's not like eye popping. 14 and 8, 3 threes. That's pretty good. And Carlisle said it's the best game he's ever played. So, do you dare start him over Isaiah Jackson? I think that's on the table because I think O'Shea Brissett's definitely starting at the 4, Buddy at the 3, Brogdon at the 2. So there's that. It's kind of crazy that Brogdon's return, honestly, in my opinion, is affecting the front court more than it's affecting Tyrese Halliburton. We've seen Halliburton's minutes with Brogdon still sustained pretty strong. So I think that's going to possibly be something to watch if Jalen Smith starts at the 5, given the way Isaiah Jackson struggled in this matchup the last time with Wendell Carter Jr. kind of killing him. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I think it's unlikely, but something I'm going to be watching for sure. And then if they do start with the Isaiah Jackson, O'Shea Brissett, you're going to see go, bye-bye.
Yeah.
With Jalen Smith playing the backup 5, he'll get some overlap. I think he's still kind of in play, even in a bad matchup against the Magic. And like I said, Halliburton's minutes, his usage has been pretty good. His ball handling has been pretty good with Brogdon and playing him off ball. But it's worth noting some of that time was in the fourth quarter. Brogdon hasn't played. Yeah, Brogdon has not played in the fourth quarter in each of the last 2 games by design. They've been limiting him.
Yep.
So we'll see if that cap goes away. I'm not too into Halliburton here, but I'm not against it, though.
Yeah, well, I have thoughts on Halliburton too for DFS, which check us out behind the paywall at 5 p.m.
Nice.
I think it's me and Dink later.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think Brogdon's return affects Buddy Hield at his current prices. Just from a ceiling perspective, I mean, Buddy's pretty expensive right now, so you'll see that. But yeah, it can be interesting to see how that starting lineup shakes out. You think Duarte played last game, right? Or
yeah, so I should hit Duarte. I kind of missed that.
No, okay.
So yeah, I think Stevenson's out.
Yeah,
ankle didn't look good, didn't have much of a chance. And Rick Carlisle said that he seemed like it was kind of unlikely he was going to play Wednesday, given the way that it was really bothering him and he couldn't tap out. He didn't think he'd be ready, and he kind of sounded like they were hoping for Friday. So I think he sits. So you expect to see a little bit of Dwayne Washington. You're not going to go there, but not having Duarte could especially Lane Stevenson, as we're kind of alluding to here. Halliburton's minutes could be really, really good.
Yeah.
In this spot and a pretty good matchup. So yeah, definitely something to watch there. But we'll see how Brogdon affects that. I think it's been a little fluky, but Carlisle's consistently said that he wants Halliburton to really be the guy. And tiny sample. I think it's like 24 minutes or something, but the small sample has reflected the comments, which you like to see.
Yeah, they did mention right off the bat that they thought Brogdon would be playing more off ball when they're next to each other, which is obviously super interesting. We'll see what happens with Malcolm Brogdon this offseason. Yeah, so moving on from there, some smaller cues here. Rashawn Holmes still questionable for Sacramento. I guess he's missed the last couple, right? What do we think on the mansion here?
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like he's going to be dealing with this for a while, and like Gentry was just almost distraught talking about how he's dealt with so many injuries. He's had injuries, he's had the 2 eye things, COVID. It's been just a nightmare to season for Rashawn Holmes, and he's just been kind of dead. But yeah, Sabonis is pretty quiet in the Thunder game. Thunder sent a lot of hard doubles to him in the last game, and this is an interesting note, not injury related, but it's fascinating to see Domantas Sabonis' front court touches have plummeted. He was at 47 per game in the Pacers. Now he's at 31 in his last 5 games. That's huge drop off with the midst of just a 1.2 minute per game change. So you got that factor. I don't think the mansion really affects DFS. You're going to see Damian Jones basically get the backup minutes. He's just kind of iced Alex Len a little bit there. But what was interesting and not injury related, but Trey Lyle started and they said that they liked it. He said he deserved to start, and he kind of took over his opportunity in a matchup that I think makes sense to go big there. So I think Lyles is in a okay spot. Pelicans allow a lot of 3-pointers, so it really sets up pretty well for him. And then we'll see if Sabonis how he does. De'Aaron Fox also has been great. 27 points per game since returning from injury. Yep. And I talked about it in matchups. I'm sorry I'm getting in the weeds a little bit.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, he's been his shot profile hasn't changed. It's just been he's making every the basket, making his jumpers. His drive rate's been pretty similar, but his success rate off those drives has really come up. So yeah, he just looks healthy, honestly. Looks like kind of a whole new player. So definitely interesting. Does get that matchup against Herb. Which seems bad on paper, but I'll add DeJounte wrecked him, Luka wrecked him, Jimmy Butler wrecked him. Players who get in the paint can go on Herb. So
yeah, he obviously has the speed factor too there.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think Herb is completely kryptonite here in the spot.
Yeah, I just want to stay on Lyles for 1 second because he's rating right now is going to be rating as one of the best value plays on the slate because he's near minimum prices on both sites. We've seen him be a very successful DFS player when he has expanded opportunity. Would Holmes' return impact him at all, or they're kind of spaced out straight for Lyles? Yeah,
straight for. I think he'll be fine. One thing I think you want to watch, and if he's starting, I think you're okay. But if he's not, I wouldn't be shocked. And it sounds kind of weird given the way the Pelicans are small in the backcourt. I wouldn't be surprised if they start Dante DiVincenzo, just because it makes their defensive matchups a little bit cleaner. You really, really don't want to put De'Aaron Fox on TJ McCollum. And I'm probably giving away too many free goods here. But De'Aaron Fox, as great as he's been on offense, he's been so bad on defense.
Always.
Literally every game they have been wrecked. So since 8 games, right? Listen to these names who have gone off. SGA went off on him. Monte Morris went off on him. Monte Morris went off on him again. Seth Curry and Bruce Brown went off on him. And then D'Angelo Russell went off on him. That's 7 guys going off in 8 games. With Raul Neto was like the lone exception. Raul Neto doesn't go off. So like, my God, there's so much. So this is a game like you want to be in on. So I'm not on DFS show, so I'm kind of getting my takes out here.
No, that's okay.
But,
that's all right. Well,
this is what you get from on the paywall side. But this is a really good game.
We appreciate the insight for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. So let's keep an eye out, see if, as long as Lyles is starting, I think he'll be in play again as one of these value guys. I'm sure he'll draw some chalk. What else we got here? So, the Nuggets. So Austin Rivers just added as a questionable. Zeke Naji once again questionable. Obviously, not going to impact things too much, the Naji side of things, because we've seen kind of him be out for a while. But Austin Rivers, has been getting minutes into the mid-20s pretty consistently here. So maybe some more Bones Highland, maybe some more Bryn Forbes if he misses. What do you think there for Denver?
Yeah, Bryn Forbes would be a guy I'm looking at as a cheap play. There's probably enough cheap plays. I haven't looked at the slate yet. But yeah, if both Zeke Naji and Ross Rivers are out, you're probably looking at least 23, 24 minutes on Bryn Forbes in a matchup that's pretty good. The Thunder allow a lot of 3-pointers. They're pretty good in the paint. So definitely a guy who could look to as a punt. They probably won't play him in garbage time, though. They'd probably go Bones, Marcus Howard, Devon Reed, and then whatever the front court combinations are. They still might, but he probably wouldn't get garbage. But he's definitely interesting if both those guys are out.
Yeah, that makes Bones interesting to me too. Then if he's going to get garbage, because this is a 15-point spread. It's this is actually one of the more interesting ones to break down later because Jokic is so expensive, but it's such obviously an appealing matchup. So, but all right, so that is Denver, Orlando. Cole Anthony probable. I don't know. Obviously we liked the matchup for him last time. We saw Markelle Fultz return, and so it's kind of bogged down there with him, Suggs, and Cole. You want to just talk through how you expect to see this Orlando guard rotation start to shake out as it's more into the swing of things here?
And I did put him on there just because I think there's been 3 or 4 times when the Magic have put guys probable and they didn't play. Terrence Ross getting that distinction twice, but so quotes from Jamal Mosey saying that they want to bring him off the bench early because he's familiar with Clan Chuma Okeke, Terrence Ross, Garrett Harris. His familiarity with them is why they want to bring him up. But, if this probable tag turns bad, then he might start. We saw him have that 16 to 20-minute cap. Maybe that comes up to 24. I thought he looked great in his return. And, I mean, Jalen Suggs was really good in this game. And it's too bad because the minutes got cut because of Fultz getting in there and then losing some responsibility because Fultz really had the ball in his hands when they were out there. But, if Cole doesn't play, I really, really like Suggs. So I'm hoping this probable tag kind of goes bad. Obviously, Wendell Carter Jr. is kind of bulletproof to this spot. Definitely think he's going to be in an excellent position. And it's worth noting too, not injury related, but it kind of is. Mo Bamba's minutes have been good in the last couple games since the break. So I think that break served him well because he was really, really running on fumes heading into the break. So I think he's pretty healthy now.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good matchup for most of these Magic guys, and it's and besides the Bamba Wendell Carter spot, unless someone gets ruled out, I'm scared to invest. You throw in the fact that RJ Hampton's also still getting some minutes and playing decent, pretty well. It's a hard spot. I kind of want to just see how this starts to shake out over the next week or so before I'm investing heavily in these guys. But yeah, I mean the bigs are once again in a good spot there for sure. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
Also OKC with Aaron
Wiggins. Right. So obviously OKC in the same spot they've been in as far as no Giddey, no Dort, no Ty Jerome, no JRE. All these guys have been out for a while now. Now Aaron Wiggins, who is not really ever impactful for a DFS perspective, he a Terp though, is had been getting minutes into the 30s on oftentimes. Obviously got hurt during the game last game, only played 9, but he's now out here to kind of just muddy up the Lindy waters a little bit more.
Nice.
So what do you think for OKC?
10 out of 10 pun right there. So OKC, man, it's funny because you see like the game dates, right? And they put out like their star players. OKC's game day tweet, maybe I'll try to pull it up time. But they had Vit, Krejci, Daniel Maladon, and Lindy Waters III as the 3 guys they featured. Like, my God, how under could you get? Okay, so I'm ready to be hurt again, Gary. Do you know why?
No, why is that?
I think it's Poku Day.
Oh, it's Poku Day.
Yeah, Mark Daigneault seemed to be pretty proud of it, and he kind of led us talking about how he's been able to take on the physicality of NBA. You have a front court of Jeff Green, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic. You're going to want the extra size. Ready to be heard again. I think he'll play garbage time too. So
I like it.
I
never have to be convinced to play Poku in large field tournaments. Like if he's getting minutes, I'll throw him in there gladly. Knowing that I can have a 3 or like a 43. So, it's hit. Yeah. We saw Vit play 29 minutes last game. Would he be someone that interests you if he can get up there again like that?
Yeah. I mean, he's really a per minute guy. He'll play at garbage time. So I think that's kind of whoever starts is kind of automatically in play. I feel like, assuming they're cheap, but obviously if Poku starts, it could be pretty exciting. Maybe Lindy starts too. Lindy's been more of a backcourt guy, but definitely think he could be in play.
This one is like a real, kind of have to dive in and really think about this spot because, there's obviously the SGA of it all. And then everything out after that is like somebody can get there just on, minutes alone and garbage time in this matchup for sure. So,
I think it's worth noting too, this matchup is, like when you play against teams who have a ball handler, is like you're gonna really, really need arrogance and have that secondary ball hand. We saw it a few games ago when they were playing the Suns without Chris Paul. Yep. They only needed one defender. They just put Bazley on, and you've got your on-ball defense covered. It's pretty similar here. That's kind of what I was thinking, Poku, because you don't really need to play another, Vit, who they use kind of as a wing defender at times. Maladon as a defender, so maybe Maladon could even start in a small ball lineup too. But this is definitely a pretty fascinating spot. I'm curious to see who starts. I think whoever starts is in play. Trey Mann should get pretty good minutes. I'm not into Shea honestly today. Aaron Gordon kind of shut him down pretty good in the last game. So definitely in the blowout too. Altitude. It's not we've been riding Shea like crazy, but not into too much today.
No, and I mean you got to on this slate particularly. You're going to have to look for spend ups to kind of just slash off your board. And to me, SGA and honestly, maybe even Jokic at that price in this particular matchup might fit that bill. I think last thing that's just worth bringing up, Isaiah Thomas signs a 10-day with Charlotte. Obviously been playing well in the G League. Anything of note here? Does it matter at all?
No, I don't think so. I just, especially the matchup, right? Like you're going against the Cavs, you can't go there. So, I mean, they've got a depth. Obviously, now they have Montrezl Harrell. They've got their front court situation covered. Cody Martin is kind of a backcourt exclusively player now. They've got Oubre. They just don't need to play him. This is kind of garbage time aided with the Kai Jones minutes. We did see a little bit more of Thor in the second half, even before garbage time. But, I don't think he's going to play here.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. Actually, I do have one more to bring up. Kyle Lowry out. Caleb Martin was ruled in after being questionable. Game against Milwaukee, big Eastern Conference battle. Just curious, you think Gabe Vincent could keep it rolling in this matchup? I guess Drew has not been the same guy he's been all year. Does Drew even get Gabe Vincent? What do you think here matchup-wise?
So I think Giannis should guard Jimmy.
Yeah.
I think that makes the most sense. They haven't really done that too much. They did it in the playoffs a little bit last year, but generally they haven't really done that. But it's because they have, not having Brook Lopez kind of changes things. But so I think obviously Tucker's going to get Giannis. It's the easy stuff. And I think Drew does get Gabe when Gabe's out. When Hero comes in, he'll be guarding Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
And man, Drew took Tyler Hero out of it in the last time they played too. So, it's given away, if Hero gets limited, maybe, Jimmy doesn't have it cooking. If Giannis gets him, maybe Bam is, not too aggressive. I do like Bam's spot. I think Vincent's interesting, and too, the Bucks are really vulnerable to threes, and Vincent is just cooking from three right now.
Vincent's
he's heat checking it. So yeah, I think. Have you seen his price yet?
I have not. I mean, I imagine it's up more.
I think it's still in the fours. I think he's still good to go.
Yeah, he is. Let's see, on DraftKings, he's 4,200. Man, that's cheap. Yeah.
That's dude. Yeah,
he's definitely in play there. I don't know what he is on FanDuel.
Yeah, he'll be playing a ton. It's worth noting too. They what was the game Saturday? When he closed over Jimmy Butler against the Bulls, I think it was.
Yeah.
He closed over Jimmy, and Jimmy was quote sore, according to Spo, but it was a back-to-back. But still, that speaks volumes, man. So shout out to Gabe Vincent, man. He's been freaking awesome.
I don't know how Miami does it with these guys. They find these Gabe Vincents and make them into something like it's nothing. So, all right, I think that does it. Anything else on your end that we missed or?
No, I think we did it all here. We'll be waiting for some Q tags. Not too much shaking the slate, but the Rockets will be interesting to see what happens with Schroeder. But yeah, it should be fun. I'm really, really pumped for the Miami game today. Like that's like
Yeah,
what a
that's
game. And man, how is that not on national TV?
I know, right? What's going on there? I mean, they put the Knicks Sixers on. Oh, geez, I don't know what they're doing.
Gross.
But anyway,
actually, we should add really quick too.
Yeah.
It's not an injury report, but Nerlens Noel. Because Tom Thibodeau said after the game that he needs to get through practices, plural, before they play him again. They want to look at Jericho Sims. So I mean, look at this: 10.5 spread, possible foul trouble for Mitch Robinson. Like maybe Jericho Sims like super teeny tiny.
It's possible.
I don't know if you can go there. It's possible
if you really wanted to in deep large field stuff. I don't hate that, but man, the Knicks are going to get crushed. All right, we'll I got to get back to writing top plays. We will see everybody behind the paywall at 5:00. If you are a subscriber to ETR NBA DFS product, if you're a subscriber to the props product, we'll get those firing out throughout the day here too. Join us at 5, Drew Dinkmeyer and myself, for what is a fun slate. Anyone playing, good luck in your games. DraftKings has a milli maker tonight for NBA. Fun stuff for DFS. See everybody at 5:00. And if not, please smash that like button and subscribe. Thanks, everyone.